upward to the cloud. All right, Mariann, the floor is yours, and thank you for doing this presentation and sharing with the rest of us.
Thank you very much. Good evening or good morning for everybody, depending on the country. So today I want to speak about constellations or postmarks, which are a little bit special in Hungary, and I don't know if there are similar things in other countries. I did not check it, but at least in Hungary, according to the monography, it was introduced 100 years before. And I thought it's a good reason to make a presentation about them. And let's start. And I added a question mark after 100 years ago or earlier because I have some concerns and I will show you why. Oops, let's go. Okay. Now, okay, it works now. So what is planned for this today presentation? First of all, I would like to define what is an auxiliary postmark. It's a terminology. So maybe somebody else would define on another way. Somebody else would use a different word for these postmarks. But we should be on the same side if you want to understand this whole presentation. The second topic would be how and when and why to use auxiliary postmarks and what is the correct usage. Unfortunately, it is very often that they do not use it correctly, but at least we should know what would be the correct way. The next topic, what literature sources are available. Unfortunately, it is very, very limited, but I try to get literature so far as I could, but it's a short list, it's not a long one. The next topic would be, I would like to speak about the types of the auxiliary postmarks from the beginning until 1963. There is a reason why exactly until 1963, but let's go back to this topic a little bit later. I would like to show you some photos about auxiliary postmarks, real ones. They are kept in the Postal Museum in Budapest, some of them, not all of them, unfortunately, but some of them are there. And I asked them for photo, and I got some. After that, I would like to show the recent auxiliary postmarks and their types very shortly because we have only 3 types nowadays. And after that, the main reason to speak about the auxiliary postmarks that I would like to build up a database about these postmarks. And I would like to show you what is the plan for that. It is not the final version. I want to work on it. And I would like to speak very shortly what are the plans for the future, how to continue this huge work to build up this database. So there are different words for special postmarks when we want to replace an existing but lost or damaged or destroyed postmark. Sometimes replacement postmarks, emergency postmarks, auxiliary postmarks, and of course, everybody can define as the person wants. So I don't want to push anybody to use these words in the practice. But for myself, I would like to define the different types of these postmarks. The first the first thing, we should define when we need these postmarks. It can happen that the existing postmark, the usual one, the normal one, it was lost, it was damaged, it was it is under reparation and such a things. So it is not usable. This is the main topic. And what to do in such a case? First of all, if it is a small post office, for example, postal agency and such a small post offices, but also in bigger post offices. If it happens, somehow this postmark should be replaced temporarily. The first possibility, when they use a unique postmarks without dates. So it means there is no date in the postmark at all, not at all. You can see here two special examples. The first one, where you see 752 in the cancellation. This is a special one when it was used in the Second World War, mostly. When the different parts came back to Hungary, the northern from Slovakia, the eastern part from Romania, and so on. They didn't have time to create the normal, usual postmarks. And these cancellations, what you can see on the picture, it was done from gum. And unfortunately, they used the same ink as it was planned for the metal postmarks. And this ink can damage the gum postmarks, so they could not use it for a long time. So these postmarks were used only for a very limited time because it was completely damaged after that. The other one, this circle with a cross inside, this is the so-called silent postmark. It is used when the postal stamp was not cancelled in the original post office. It arrived to the target post office. They recognize, oh my God, it was not cancelled. We have to do something. But they cannot use the normal postmark, they own one, because it has a post office name and date as well. And if you put it onto the postal stamp, then everybody would believe, okay, it was posted from here. No? So almost all post offices have such a silent postmark, and monography mentioned as a temporary replacement postmark. It is not really correct in my opinion, but if you check the monography, it is handled in the same group. So this is the first part where it is managed centrally, these postmarks. So the central post office ordered it for Slovakian territories, for Romanian territories, and so on. But it doesn't contain date and doesn't contain also the name of the post office. So if you check the first one, you can see only Magyar Posta. It means Hungarian Royal Post. So no name, no text which post office used it. And this is a common feature of these postmarks. The second type I would name as emergency postmark. Some people use this word emergency postmark for the same as the first one, but I would suggest to use it for very specific homemade postmarks from potato, for example, or from wood, to use something because they wanted to cancel the postal stamp, but there was no tool for that because of any reason. In the Second World War, it happened often that they lost everything from the post office. So you can see here one example which was done, I don't know from which material, but it is not ordered by the central post office and nothing. But it was used to cancel the postal stamps. And the last one, what is the topic for today, these are so-called auxiliary postmarks. Maybe I do not use the really best word for these postmarks, but what it means that centrally introduced and produced and manufactured, there is a number, always an identification number. On the picture you can see number 1 and number 588. There is date, always, so changeable date in the postmark, and it is uniformed. So it was produced in the same format and it was managed centrally. So it is not something what they found out in the post office, oh, we would need something and we will do it. No, it was a centralized procedure. If somebody lost the postmark or it was damaged or whatever happened, then they had to order this postmark from the uh, direction of the local territory, and they delivered it to the post office. And they used it so long when they received after that the new one, the correct one, or the repaired one. So today I don't want to speak about the first two types when we do not have date in this time in the postmark. So I want to speak about these centralized, numbered, and dated postmarks where there is a date. This number on the below part of the postmark, it can be 1, 2, or 3 digits number. It means that it can come from 1 to 999, theoretically. Practically, they do not use all the numbers, but theoretically, it would come from 1 to 999. So in total, we could have 999 different numbers in the postmarks. Practically not. I will come back to this topic later. It is a temporary replacement of the postmark. So they use it only for a short period. Sometimes it happens that it is used for 1 year. I know some special cases when it was used for 2 years or 3 years, but these are really special cases. Normally, maximum 1 year, but most probably only for few weeks or few months. This is the most common case. It is really important that it is administered strictly by the main post office. When they deliver the postmark to the local post office, then there is a big book, I would say, where they have to administer, okay, this number, the postmark, auxiliary postmark with this identification number, it was delivered to, I don't know, to Szeged number 2 post office, and when they give back, then they will administer again. It was given back at this date. So theoretically, we should see centrally when it was delivered to which post office and when was it was delivered back. And after that, the same postmark, auxiliary postmark, can be given to another post office. So it can be given to different post offices at any time. It can happen that this uh, postmark, auxiliary postmark, was given to one post office, given back, and maybe for 1 year it was not given out again. So we cannot know um, without this documentation when it was used practically. And the problem that we cannot have this documentation from Hungarian Post. So this is a very big problem. Okay, how to use when they use this postmark to put onto the postal stamp. Theoretically, they should write also the name of the post office because it is not in the cancellation, so it is not included. So they should indicate, this is Szeged number 2. But practically, unfortunately, they do not do it in a lot of cases. Which post offices use this auxiliary postmark? I would say all those post offices which are which have a fixed location. So post offices, postal agencies, after that branch offices in Hungarian Fiók Posta, then so-called sub-offices or sub-offices in Hungarian kirendeltség, standalone sub-offices, in Hungarian önálló kirendeltség. These are different type of the post offices in Hungary. I don't want to go into the details, but the common feature that they have fixed location. So not in a train or in a mobile post or something. Postal partners, postmasters, and nowadays, after 2000, 2003, also mobile postal services can use such an auxiliary postmark. Mobile post, this is a mobile service in a car, in a postal car. So it's not in a train or something. This car will travel to the very small villages and they will give the postal service to the people. If we see only the cancellation, nothing more on an envelope, we can see the cancellation. We cannot know which type of post office used this postmark, this auxiliary postmark. So this is again very important. Very interesting, and also in Hungary, usually it is not known that there were special replacement postmarks for railway mobile posts and also for paid in cash postmarks. There were special types for that. I did not include them in this presentation. These are specific ones, and I would need another presentation to speak about it. What were the regulation of the auxiliary postmarks? Unfortunately, I was unable to find any postal regulations about it. It's unbelievable. I asked the Stamp Museum to support me, and they also didn't find anything about it. In volume 1 of Hungarian stamp monography, I would shortly monography, Ákos Kostyán wrote without any sources, so he didn't mention what was the source for that, but he mentioned that the solution came in 1925, solution in brackets from me, the solution for the so-called replacement postmarks. So this solution came in 1925 when so-called auxiliary postmarks were introduced. We don't know what was the source for that. Ákos Kostyán listed the types of these auxiliary postmarks in volume 1. And he mentioned also there, when he mentioned the period of usage, that the beginning was 1925. So I believed him. So I took this date as a basis. However, if we will check it later, then the first auxiliary postmarks were produced in Class Zone. It's a company, and they had trial cancellations in the company. And on these trial prints, what I have, so I have the original trial prints, the first date are from 1924 and mid of 1924, June and July. So the question came, why did they produce so early? So maybe it was already used in 1924, but until now we could not find any cancellations from that year, from 1924. And in this whole presentation, if you see something with the text with white color, then it belongs to monography. If you see the text in this pink color, I would name, then it is from myself. It is my comment and my concerns, which came out when I tried to collect all the existing informations. Regarding the regulations, that was the official rule when they used it, that the name of the post office must be there. How can it be? It can be done manually, handshrift, or it can be a rubber stamp, a gum stamp. They made it specifically only for this purpose, to put there the name of the post office. Or sometimes they used special postmarks like chief officer's postmarks or control number stamps and so on. These are not official, not the usual one, but sometimes it happened. And if you check these control number stamps, I don't know if you have already seen it. It contains really only a number, nothing more. In a frame, only a number. It doesn't contain which post office it is. So it doesn't indicate the name of the post office, so it is absolutely irregular. But they used it, of course. Regarding literature, the first volume of monography, this is the main source of information. This chapter was written by Ákos Kostyán, and it includes mostly only the types of the postmarks, auxiliary postmarks, and some quantity regarding the production. He planned to make a detailed analysis of the auxiliary postmarks in volume 6. I don't know if you know this volume 6 of monography. It is about the cancellated postmarks. The whole book is about cancellations, and he planned there 7 big chapters, parts. And the first 4 parts were included in volume 6, the other 3 not. You can see with this pink color which chapters were not included there, but if you open this volume 6 and you check page 12, then it is written there that he planned these parts into volume 6, but I think because it was too big already, 830 pages, and he didn't have enough time to include them, so it was skipped, so he did not include, and the volume 6 book was produced or published in 1973, and next year Ákos Kostyán died. And we think so that he had some notes and plans to include. So he had he has already prepared these chapters, but we did not find it, unfortunately. So we lost it completely. In Philatelica, this is the newspaper of Mafit, the Hungarian Philatelic Science Society. Paul, is it correct? I hope so. So this is the newspaper of this Hungarian society, and there we can find a couple of articles, but only regarding the Second World War. So, and at this time, mostly they used not the auxiliary postmarks, but the first type, this temporary emergency, or I cannot remember which word I used. So the other type, which does not include date and does not include anything else. So regarding these parts, Transcarpathia and Upper Hungary and so on, also there we can find some normal auxiliary postmarks, but most of them are not such a centralized something. And now I want to go back a little bit to monography volume 6. When the first volume was written, it was published in 1965, 60 years before. So at that time, they could use what they had. I mean, collections and some, I don't know if they had any documentation from Hungarian Post, but definitely they didn't have the class zone documentation, and they didn't have the trial prints and such a things. And for volume 6, it is written in volume 6 that free collectors, Hungarian collectors, bought this documentation of class zone company because this class zone company was closed, and the documentation, I think they wanted to throw away or to go to be destroyed. But free Hungarian collectors bought this complete documentation and they gave it to Ákos Kostyán. Please, you can research it. And that was the base for volume 6. And this document, we should know that this class zone company, they produced, I don't know, about 80 or almost 90% of the Hungarian postmarks. So the huge quantity. The rest, 10, maximum 20%, were produced by other company or companies, but the main part, 80 or 90%, were produced by class zone. So if we have the documentation of this company, then we have a very good overview about the postmark production. And as I mentioned, it is my opinion that volume 6 was already so big that Ákos Kostyán could not include the additional free big parts in the volume 6. And unfortunately, he died next year. At the beginning of the year, first part of the year, he got the gold ring of Mabeos, the Hungarian Stamp Collector Society. This is the highest award of Mabeos, that was the highest award of Mabeos, this gold ring. He got it, and I think few weeks later he died in a stupid sickness, so he should not. So I am really upset that it could happen, that it was a mistake in a hospital, and he died after that. So this is the story behind. So I expected that I will find really good documentation and information in volume 6, but unfortunately it is not the case. And let's go into the details. This is the first type of the auxiliary postmarks. It started from number 1 and it went until 22. And in volume 1, Ákos Kostyán mentions that 22 postmarks were produced and 8 of them were engraved. So M. Kir, it was engraved, deleted from the postmark. But it is not mentioned which 8. So we cannot know which in which postmarks it was removed, this M. Kir, and which one not. So we should research more and know information about it. And that's why he mentions that, okay, 22 postmarks plus 8 engraved postmarks at the end. So if we would count on all the possible different constellations, then we should count 30 different postmarks. The first one was used from January 10th, 1925. I put there a question mark because I don't know what was the resource for that or source for that. I should find somewhere an information about it. And in the trial constellation of class zone, it was produced in 1924, 28th of June. So more than half a year earlier than this date. And the last one was used from July 16. So let's see, I should check all my materials, my collection. I have 24 big boxes full with such a constellations organized by number. And I should check all of them, at least the first 22 numbers, if I can find such an early constellation. I don't believe that I will find something. Let's see. These are the second types. And also here I have some question marks. It started from 23 until 44. And at the very beginning, they thought so that they would produce that M. Kir. Posta. That would be the text. If you check the first picture with 23, you can see it. M. Kir. Posta. But after that, they decided no, it is not nice or not good. I don't know why they decided not to use it. And it is mentioned in monography volume 1 that these postmarks 23 and 24 with this text M. Kir. Posta were not used at all. They produced these postmarks but they were not used. And after that, they produced others with Magyar Posta, and that was already used. And they produced from 23 to 44. But if you check the numbers, for example, number 42, this is the fourth one in the row, 42. And if you compare this 4 with 44, then you can see the character type is different. And it is mentioned in the monography that there is such a case, but in monography, Ákos Kostyán mentions only number 44. I checked my collection, and I mean the class zone trial prints, because I have also for these postmarks the trial prints, and I could find other as well. You can see 24 has the same special character. And there is another special topic, a very small one, this ornament. If you check from the number left and right side, there is a nice ornament. And this ornament can go out or go in if we check the path near to the numbers. And I wrote here that ornaments curse outward or inward. And it is also mentioned in monography, but less. So according to the trial prints, I could recognize that there are more, not only one or two. I cannot remember, maybe I have written it somewhere. Yes, in monography, Ákos Kostyán mentioned only 2, but I could find more, 3 or 4, I cannot remember well. So this is why we have to keep in mind that when he wrote the first book, Volume 1, he didn't have this documentation. So he could not recognize the details and so on. Somehow they knew about these topics, the antic number and curse inward or outward, but they didn't have the exact numbers, how many such a special type. So it was produced from 23 to 44. Here I wanted to show you some special cases. If you check the first one, I don't know what is your impression regarding this cancellation with 23. I would say that it is a used postmark. So it is not a nice cancellation with very detailed and nice details. So it seems to be that they used it. And if you compare 24, here we have 2 different. It is not mentioned in volume 1, but if we compare it, then we can see big difference. And the text above, Magyar Posta, Magyar Posta, the text is the same, but the design is different. We can see very clearly the character type is different, the ornament is different, the text above, the size of the letters are different, and so on. It is not mentioned in monography. So we have to research, and I am looking for all these special cancellations, these auxiliary postmarks, and all the cancellations can be interesting for research, for researching. This is the next one. If if you remember for the previous slides, then we finished by 44. And here we start from 101. So there is a gap between from 45 to 99. They did not produce these numbers at that time. Later, yes, much more later, but at that time they did not produce from 45 to 99. I don't know why. And Ákos Kostyán mentioned that they were produced until one moment, please. Yeah, until 421. So from 101 until 421. But I got the trial print of Class Zone Factory, and there I could find from 421 to 430 as well. So I think they were also used. I should research it in details, when and how, later or earlier, I don't know, earlier for sure not. It is interesting that almost all these auxiliary postmarks were used with black ink. But here it is mentioned in monography that there are also purple and green postmarks. I cannot remember for such a cancellation, but it can happen, at least according to monography, and I trust Ákos Kostyán. So if he wrote it, then for sure he has seen such a cancellation. And here you can see a very, very late usage of the auxiliary postmark. It is from 1994. It is number 163. You can see not so well in the below part of the cancellation. And you can see that Kir is engraved from the postmark. So M dot space Posta and below 163. About 54 years later than it was produced. So this is really nice. It was a metal postmark, so they could use it for a long, long time. The next type, it is from 441 until 470. And in the first book, volume 1, in monography, it is written that from all these postmarks, the crown was engraved in 1946. 46. I checked my collection. I was really curious if I have, and I could find one piece. It is not so well visible, but I checked it with lupe. There is a crown here, but it is from 1947. So how can it be? He wrote that from all these postmarks, the crown was engraved in 1946. So it is for sure not true, because I have one example that 1 year later they still used with crown. And for all numbers, I could find the constellations with engraved crown. So what is the right side with 449? 30 postmarks were produced, and this first one, where the crown is there, this is almost the rarest auxiliary postmark in Hungary, what you can find. So if you have such a postmark where you can find this crown here on the upper part, then you have something really valuable. It is very, very rare. I have, I don't know, 10,000, I would say, auxiliary postmark cancellations. Okay, not from this type. From this type, only these 30 postmarks, and I could find only one example. Here it is. So maybe here you can see the crown on the enlarged picture that there is, but it is for sure from 1947. And here you can see again a very, very late usage of this postmark, auxiliary postmark. It is from 1997, almost 2000, and they still use this postmark. It's unbelievable late. More than 52 years later than it was produced. On the back side of the envelope, there is a postmark, arrival postmark, and there it is very clearly visible that it was used in 1997. The next type has the text above Magyar Posta. And it is really very interesting that in 1946 they removed Magyar, Hungarian. I don't know why. That was a special type of the history of Hungary, so maybe there was a political reason behind, I don't know. But they removed this Magyar and only Posta remained. And it was in use in 47. I should double check my collection. I did not search for this type, if it is rare or not. But the previous one with Crohn, that was already mentioned in volume 1 in monography, that it is a very rare cancellation. 41 postmarks were produced and different numbers from 401, okay, not from, but the very first one was 401, and they produced the last with number 36 in November 1946. It means that before that they produced the postmarks according to the number. At the very beginning, number 1, number 2, tuck, 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 number 22. After that, 23, 24, tuck, 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 44. A gap. They started from number 101, tuck, 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 until 430. But here we have a mixture. And I don't know what was the reason. Maybe the previous ones, some of them were lost, and they wanted to replace those auxiliary postmarks, for example, 36. I don't know. We should research and to find data for that. But the most important topic that they were not produced according to the numbers. And this is again a very important new type. It was produced directly only with this text Posta, nothing more. That was really, I think, a period of history when there was a Russian pressure on the country, and they didn't want to use the Hungarian national things, national names, also not in the postmarks. Maybe that was the reason. It is only my idea. I have no confirmation for that. And if you check the types, then we have this small arc decoration. Not arc is the two lines, but I would say truncated lower segment, like two small triangles on the below part, and the number was between the two small paths. And on the first path, this is the basic type, there were two arc decorations, two lines, and the second one without this arc decoration, this is not so usual. I think these postmarks were produced according to the numbers, so after each other. And here, if you see the pink pictures, these are only to show you how it would look like. So it was produced by me and not a real cancellation. I only also the number is the same, so it's only to show you how it would look like. The first one, this is the basic type. When we have this truncated lower segment, the number is there. Arc decoration on the two sides and indication of hour. So the hour is always there. The last -7, this is the hour. So it started with 47, this is the year. After that, the month with Roman numbers. After that, the day, -9. And at the end, -7 is the hour. So it means at 7 o'clock in the morning. And the next one, this is something beautiful. Unfortunately, I do not have a real cancellation of this postmark. When they wanted to replace the auxiliary postmark, they lost the auxiliary postmark and they had to produce a new one, but they could not produce the same design. So they put A to the right and left side. So this is the replacement of the auxiliary postmark. I think it's beautiful and very interesting when we want to replace an original one, but we lost the auxiliary postmark, so we have to produce a replacement of the auxiliary postmark. It's funny. And it was written in the volume 1 that there is no postmark without arc decoration, but there is. I could find. So in pink color you can see that I could find without arc decoration and without hour indication. So only the year and month and date. Please don't forget that volume 1 was published in 1965. So it's less than 20 years after this year, 1947. So at that time, they could still produce these postmarks. This is the next type. If we go back a little bit, let's check that here we have this truncated lower segment. Here we have a complete lower segment, a closed one, and the number is below the lower segment, closed segment, and above Magyar Posta and below the number. In monography, it is mentioned only without arc decoration. I have already found with arc decoration as well, so these lines on left and right side. And these cancellations were produced from 1959. So it is already very near to volume 1, the time of volume 1, 6 years earlier. And here we have the next type, where we have only these segments above and below, but there is no complete chords, truncated two chords. So if we go back, here we have the chords from circle to circle. And if we go down, here we do not have those lines. And the number is below. Magyar Posta is the text. And on the right side, you can see a real picture, a photo from Postal Museum. It's not so well visible, but the above text is Magyar Posta for sure. And we can see the two segments, closed segments, and in between the date. If we check closely, then the part for hours, the hour indication, there are so-called blind hour indications. So there are two small blind parts. Here we also need further research how many postmarks were produced. And on this photo, you can see the arc decoration. So for sure, there were uh, postmarks with arc decoration as well. I mean the lines. Here you can see three other examples, again with Magyar Posta above. Again, on left side you can see the same as before. So 41. If we go back, this is 41 as well on the right side. So here the first one is the same, number 41. And here is the blank or blind for our indication. Here this on the second one, this is 72. We can see at the end the hour indication -8. And the last one on the right side, it is number 1. So this is interesting to see that we could see that the very first one was number 1 as well, but they have produced a new one with number 1 with a new type, Magyar Posta, and the year is on 4 digits, 1993 and 01, Arabic numerals for months, and after that the day, and no arc decoration. And what kind of auxiliary postmarks are used today? These are already rubber stamps or gum stamps, and a special one with a micro ink system. I don't want to go into the details because I am not an expert in this topic, but it's not a normal one when you put the postmark into the ink. It is self-inked on a special way. And the very first one we name as closed date field because the date is in a closed field. The second one, when we have one chord, a bottom chord, and above only a segment. And the last one is almost the same as before, but on the above segment you can see MP. So this is again a funny situation that Magyar Posta is written above, and under that you can see this MP, which is the abbreviation of Magyar Posta. So it's I think it was produced on this way because it's a general rule today for Hungarian Post that all the postmarks should include MP to highlight that it's from Hungarian Post. And they put it also to the auxiliary postmark. It doesn't make sense in my opinion. It's a duplication, but they put it. So if we do not count this MP topic, this last one, then we have only two types today. And as I mentioned to you, I have a big collection, really big one. And I was thinking what to do with that, how to prepare something for the collectors. And I work with IT, so I am a tester for an IT company, and I planned the database in an Excel sheet. And I would like to show you what is my plan for the future. Before that, I had to analyze these. Uh, what is the base? What I should analyze? These postmarks can be numbered from 1 to 999, but not all numbers were produced. So it means from the beginning I made a list which numbers were produced. And here you can see a list about those identity numbers, but I do not have at all. The very first one is 386. It is strange. I would expect that my collection is not complete, so I would expect that later or earlier I will find such a constellation. After that, the next one is above 600. So we can assume that in between, and also here after 676 until 686, I would expect that I will find constellations and numbers. So from my side, I would assume that from 759 to 899, I do not have at all, and I would assume that there is no such a numbering. So this part, this interval is missing, and above 916, there is no known number for me. And I asked already some other collectors, and I could not find such a number. So if I count which numbers are missing, then 281 numbers are missing from my collection. If we change it, in other words, then at the moment 718 numbers are known. But from the same number, we can have different types. So you could see one example for number 1. The very first one was one type with M. Posta, and there was another one with Magyar Posta, and maybe we have I don't know how many other types. So from one side, 718 numbers should be researched, but we have to multiply it because from each number we can have different types. Let's see what is available, what can be used or could be used for the research. The biggest problem that I could not get any information from Hungarian Post. And this is a very big problem. So there is no support at all. I tried to do everything from this side and that side, and it was unsuccessful, unfortunately. The other problem, if I can find a cancellation on an envelope or postcard, it is often that there is no post office next to the cancellation. They should write it, they should have written it, but sometimes they do not do it. If it is a cutout, of course I cannot know which post office used it. And that would be the most useful database if I could prepare such a list that this number, this type of the postmark, was used at this post office from this time to that time. But in a lot of cases, it is not possible, unfortunately. I have really 24 large boxes, really big boxes, full with such a constellations, envelopes, postcards, cutouts, and so on. And I should research all of them. But before that, I want to clarify what should be researched in these boxes. Because if I will be at the end or in the middle, I cannot change my opinion. Oh, I should have checked also this information from the envelopes or that information. Thanks for God, we still have enthusiastic and helpful collectors. So I receive continuously pictures or real envelopes and postcards with auxiliary postmarks on it, and it is really helpful. And I can build up a database from this information, so I can count on the collectors. As I mentioned, these postmarks were used only temporarily. So if I can find a cancellation with a date and 1 year later another one, I cannot know if it is the same post office or the second one was already another one. Also, 1 day later, I cannot be sure that it is the same post office. It can be that they gave back and next day another post office received it. So all the cancellations, all the concrete cancellations should be included in the database, and it's a huge work. And because of this huge information database, I have to be very careful what should be managed and what is not important. So my first plan, the most important plan to find out and to finalize the database itself, what is needed about a cancellation, an auxiliary postmark. And I have to know what is the target of the whole database. Of course, I have some ideas how to manage it, but I still have some enhancement to it and some changes. I want to mention that last week we had the official meeting of my Hungarian Stamp Collector Society Internet Philately Club, and there I received some new information about some post offices. I don't know if it is known for you. Every post office, all of them, they have an official book for the postmarks, which are used by this specific post office. And they have to make a cancellation with the postmark in this book and to write when they received, and if it is broken or stolen or damaged or whatever, they have to write into this book. And uh, I have a very good friend in Hungary who worked earlier by post office in the management, and he visited some post offices and he checked this official book for the last 30 years. And he made some photos from these official books about the auxiliary postmark cancellations. And from this information, I recognize that, okay, I have to enhance and I have to change a little bit my plans for the database, for example. So my plan, first to finalize this database plan, and I want to collect and draw those types which are known for me for these auxiliary postmarks, because I do not have the picture at the moment about all types. of course, for this purpose, I have to collect all these different variants. So I have to check a little bit my collection. And when I have to start to work on my collection, I want to write article or articles about this topic because it can give a publicity for this topic and maybe I can get help from the collectors when they recognize, oh, I have some or more, who knows that, and maybe I will get more exact information about it. And of course, I should know what could be important for other collectors because I would like to serve the collectors. I would like to give to all collectors useful information. And after that, we would like to publish the complete database on internet with a special search tool where you can search for different parameters and you can get the result. So this is the target at the end, a searchable database on our website, IBK website, and to deliver a useful information database for the collectors. So this is the target of this complete work. I think it will last until the end of my life to finalize it. But I will work on it for sure. So, thank you for your kind attention and for your patience. So, that was planned from my side for today.
Mariann, that was a wonderful presentation. I wrote a few questions down for you, but you answered
Okay.
some of them during the thing. So the first one, is there a rule or a law against using a post office cancel when you find a stamp in the mail without a cancel? Because you said early on in the presentation that if a letter was received at a post office for delivery, they could not use their cancellation on that stamp. It had to be an auxiliary cancellation. Is that a rule or a law?
Yeah, for sure. So, first of all, the mm, the sender post office should use the cancellation on the postal stamp,
Sure.
and
Yep.
it can be a legal confirmation. When you have a letter and you want to use it by the court, then this cancellation confirms that yes, it was sent by this date and by this post office. So that's why the receiver post office cannot use the own one because it would be a misleading information. This is one topic. The second topic, if a postmark was lost or damaged or whatever. So, first of all, if it was lost, then it was published in the official papers of Hungarian Post that it was lost. It is if you find a letter with this postmark, then please send an information for us because it is a fake or there is a problem. It should not be used and it was sent out to all post offices that this postmark cannot be used anymore.
Wow, that's pretty restrictive.
Yeah.
My second question is you showed an early cancellation of a number 23, and you said it looked it looked like it was supposed to have come into play on that particular year, but it looked very worn. And I think it was on your type two. Is that possibly a fake? Because a lot of times I've seen fakers fake cancellations with like rubber, I'll call them rubber cancelers. Fournier
This
was a
is
good for
this is
that.
my own one, what I have shown,
Hmm.
and I don't believe that it would be a fake.
Okay, so that was real. Okay,
I think so. I am not an expert, so I cannot analyze it with special tools and so on if it is really a good one, but it is my opinion that it is not a fake.
yeah, it looks like a really worn die. I can tell you.
Mm.
The last one for me is you were saying some of these canceled last, a week, 2 weeks, a month. up to about 3 years. But yet you showed some that were 50 years. Is that, you know, was that a reissue of that particular cancel? Or what was the lineage of the cancel year to year? Did the original post office use it, turn it back in, and then another post office get it again?
Yeah. So
Ah,
after each other. So what I have shown here that 54 years after
yep,
the production and 52 years, it doesn't mean that the same post office used it for so long time. No. I don't know how many post offices used this postmark before. It was a
gotcha.
metal one, so they could use it in a lot of post offices and they gave it back and the new post office got it and so on.
Well, I've got a question for you that stemmed out of numbers. Are there less than 999 post offices in Hungary?
No, 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 not at all, but it is used only in emergency case. So, and not in all post offices, we have every day an emergency situation that the postmark was damaged, lost, that.
I was thinking those post office books that you spoke of, and then the latter part. I think that's extremely valuable information for collectors.
For sure, for sure.
I'd like
I
to get
am here.
photocopies of all of them.
Yes, I have a discussion with this man, what I mentioned that he visited the post offices, 7 post offices last week, and he copied them, he made photos from this book. And I have another stamp collector who made the same or almost the same. He had a contact with a leader of the post offices and he asked them to make a copy from this book regarding a specific topic. And it's very, very interesting. We could find cancellations but we have never seen before. Never. Really. So unbelievably interesting. And
Marianne, when do you
yeah.
think you're going to publish your database?
Publish what?
Your database.
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, you don't need to die before you do it. We
Yes,
we get
I
older
have.
every day.
Yes, it's a huge work, and I hope I can do the start first of all. So, but it is really important to find out what should be included in the database. You can imagine if you put the data of the letters and postcards and cutouts after each other, and you have already done for 1,000 piece. And after that, you find out, oh my God, I should have had this information as well. You have to start from scratch. You have to start from the beginning again. I don't want to do it. So I will spend a little bit more time to plan the database and to check from all sides. And once it is more or less okay, not too big database, not too much information from about one envelope or letter or postcard, but enough information, then I will start to work on it. And I will try to involve some other collectors to help me. That's my target, that in one Excel sheet, we could add all the uh,
Good. Yep.
cancellations after each other. So not on separate worksheets, but on one worksheet, all the cancellations. And on this way, the collectors could support me. They could put whatever they can, and I have to merge only these data.
I mean, I've learned more in an hour than I knew about these temporary cancels. I didn't know anything really. I
Mhm.
mean, I've seen them, but I've never done anything with them or even understood them. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, you are welcome. Everybody is very
And
welcome.
Marianne, this is
Yeah.
Jeff Toth in Tennessee. I'm just a novice collector beginning with the Hungarian stamp, so I'm not even into cancellations. But I did notice something on your page 10 where you talked about the ornament curls, either facing inward or outward. I don't know if you noticed that you could also have a difference of where the serif is, at the center of the curl, the S curl. the tick mark either pointing up or pointing inward or pointing outward. So you could have two, even though the curls are inward or outward, you could have inward with the serif pointing in or the serif pointing out in the center. I didn't know if you had realized that. Do, do you see what
Yes,
I'm
that's
talking
true.
about?
That's completely true. I did not recognize. Thank you very much.
Yes. And
I see.
secondly, what I know, we just got I just got my latest news of Hungarian Philately, and it has a section in there that I haven't read yet, out of the ordinary cancellations. So where does out of the ordinary fit with uh, your auxiliary? Because I don't know anything about the cancellations. You know what I'm saying?
Not really. I don't know about this article, what you mentioned, or
Anybody else see that article just came out in this is volume 56, number 3, July to September 2025, and Johann Schevenhuisen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jeff, Johan was talking about the different types of formats that cancels come in. Some are boxed, some are circular, some are linear, and that's what he was trying to classify that there's
yes.
different varieties.
Now I
Uh,
know what you mean, Chaba and Jeff. I remember to this article now. He is speaking about the different forms and different types of the postmarks and cancellation. Is it correct, Chaba? This is what you mean?
yes, exactly. The
Mm-hmm.
box cancellations are usually for postal agencies and you know, you go back to the beginning of cancellations where they were just basically town names in a linear format, and they evolved into boxes and circles and various shapes.
Well,
Yeah,
the cancellation seems like a very complex subject to me, and you got a
Well,
heck of a task ahead of you to
well,
get that.
it is. I mean,
it is.
greater heads than mine have beaten this subject to death. And, volume six, some of our members have identified errors and omissions in it. And, it's a monumental work and it's a work in progress.
Yeah. So, Jeff, that article is a very generic, very general article about the format of the postmarks and how to um, order it, how to sort it out, which kind of cancellation or postmark you have. This is a very special type what I mentioned here. This is
Okay.
really something special.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
and
you.
I might add something along the line of what Joe was asking about. The best classification for the where the cancels were used were in the World War II period for the temporary rubber cancellations. Those articles that Marianne pointed out from the Philatelica actually list the numbers in the different areas that they were used, the different towns. Sometimes you find the same cancellations used in the northern territories, in Transylvania, in Bachka, the same number, and those articles track them very nicely. That's the only place where I've seen these auxiliary or temporary cancels that could be classified according to the actual location where they were used.
Yeah.
Anyone else with other questions? Marianne, I'd like to thank you. I mean, I've learned, like I said, more in an hour than I think I'd known in a lifetime about these, but you've sparked my curiosity. Now I'm going to go look. So I thank you very much. It's great to learn something every day. So with that, I'm going to stop recording.